Hey, thanks for watching 4Color Commentary. I'm Mark Allen, and today I'm going to do a little bit of a haul video. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to everything because I really wanted to do a haul video and gimmicks and obscurities. But as I look at the stacks, they're kind of big. So I may be leaving or keeping the gimmicks and obscurities for a little bit later. However, definitely going to get to the haul and just some things I picked up out of dollar boxes and a few new things as well. And anyway, as you know, that today we're more than ever, there is people want first appearances of various different characters just going through the roof. And that's why I've started doing the videos Affordable Firsts recently, and just kind of letting you know about first appearances out there that that you can snag for very cheap. But a few of these, or as you know, that I go through the dollar boxes a lot, and you can find books that are heating up all of a sudden because it seems like from day to day, different first appearances are heating up, and you know, people don't even know it. And comic stores that have you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollar comics, you know, and just long box after long box of them, I guess in the thousands actually, they can't go through there and check everything and make sure. So you can find some really good bargains in the dollar box, and I have just recently. In fact, I found recently an Amazing Fantasy number 10, the first appearance of Nina Pierce, Vampire by Night. This is one of those books that's going for quite a bit on eBay. I found this, you know, in the dollar box, and gave it a couple of presses, and it looks great. And plan on putting that up on eBay and getting rid of that. That's helps fund my comic habit. But another one along those lines. Now this one surprised me a bit, just because it was, you know, it was, I didn't even know that it was hot, so to speak. Now there's hot, and then there's burning up. This one is in demand, let's say, by some, because it has a low print run. Well, who knew? But it's the Deathstroke number 16, where he goes up against the Red Hood. I had no idea that this one, I got it for cover price. It was not $1, but $2.99. But people are asking $10, $15 for it on eBay, and I thought, well, you know, it was a great read. It was a great read. I love both the characters, and so I thought that's a win-win. Even if it doesn't do anything on eBay, and if it's a flash in the pan and it doesn't last as far as the popularity goes, it's still a great story, and I would have paid cover price for it anyway with those two characters. Okay, now this next one these next several are dollar finds, and this is one that this is the first appearance that I'll always get whenever I find it in the dollar box, just because this character is starting to be used more, or has been used more and more over the last few years. And in fact, as I understand it, in Avengers in a few months are going to start another storyline about the new Star Brand. But this is Star Brand number 1, okay, published in 1986. I remember, well, of course, when the new universe started, Marvel's new universe started, and this was the one title that I really enjoyed. I loved everything about it, the story, the art, the fact that Ken Connell, Starbrand, wasn't a perfect guy. He was, in fact, sometimes he wasn't even a likable guy, and but he kind of had to grow up a bit in you know, being the bearer of the Star Brand. Of course, that growing up, I don't want to give it away, but let's just say Ken Connell did not become the hero that he should have. But anyway, whenever I find those in the dollar box, I'll always pick those up. That's just I think that's a good first appearance to have. But anyway, first appearance of the Star Brand, first appearance of the first Star Brand, Ken Connell, and so there you go. Now these next two are a little older and a little more beat up, but they're classified under those books that if the cover's attached and there's no severe water damage, you always pick them up for $1. Any in the short-lived 70s Joker series, it goes under that banner, and this is Joker number 8 with that really cool scarecrow cover, you know. And so I picked that one up in the dollar box. That's a must-have, and just for reading. A great Ernie Chua cover. Sometimes he was Ernie Chua, sometimes he was Ernie Chan. Did work for Marvel and for DC, but you know, a little beat up. And that one won't go on the spinner rack. This one will go in the box because the Joker comics are just kind of difficult to come by. The next one is actually the House of Mystery, number 203. And You know, again, those are always just fun reads. And it actually has an opening splash page by Bernie Wrightson. But this is just one of those books. It's just, for $1, that's some fun reading. House of Mystery was always fun and just a good time to good reading there. And back again when they actually did dialogue, you know, you actually had some healthy reading in there along with some beautiful art. Just great stories. All right. Now here's one that I didn't realize. Of course, back in the day in the 80s, DC reprinted a lot of the classic material from the 60s and 70s, as Marvel did. They did it in this Baxter paper format, as they used to call it back then. But this is ManBat versus Batman #1, reprinting some of the Neil Adams Batman and ManBat stories. And of course, that's just great stuff to have. And so that was a no-brainer in the dollar box. This next one is a little obscure, but I'm not including it necessarily in the gimmicks and obscurities. And this one I'm going to actually take out of the bag because I wasn't sure if it had a, yes, front and back cover illustration. That's great. This is a comic called Strike Force America, and with art, at least cover art, by Sam Keith. Sam Keith actually, I think he was the writer of this series, I believe. Let me check that before I show you the cover. Nope, I was wrong about that. Cover by Sam Keith. Well, he's got first billing on the cover right there under the title, just because he did the cover. Okay, so anyway, but it is a very cool Sam Keith cover. I'm going to cover my face here so you can see the whole cover. But that is a nice Sam Keith cover, a Kamiko comic, and just Strike Force America. And so, or American, Strike Force America, or America Strike Force. But you know, just kind of a neat. I bought that. File that under. Bought it for the cover. All right, Sam Keith cover, early work, and in fact, how early? This was published in 1992. So you know, about the time Image was getting started up, and Sam Keith was coming into superstar status with the Max, and so anyway, kind of a neat book to have there. I haven't seen a whole lot of them floating around out there. Did pick up a first appearance. This is not a dollar comic, but a first appearance at Mike McCormick's Comic Empire of Tulsa. And this is Amazing Spider-Man 256, first appearance of Puma. And, you know, this is one of those, this is shortly after the black suit, the symbiote suit first showed up in Secret Wars #8. And this was while Ron Frenz was doing the art chores on Amazing Spider-Man. Those were good days. Ron Frenz always had what I thought his style was his own, but there were so many panels in which he seemed to be paying homage to Steve Ditko. Not swipes. His style just looked like the whole thing was sometimes it looked like it was a Ditko worship session, but it was really good. And again, I'm not, you know, he had his own style and everything. Ron Frenz, great artist on his own. But anyway, I just liked his Spider-Man stuff because I think he had great respect for Ditko's work. Now, a few more dollar books here. It's interesting, all of a sudden, at a couple of different places that I've been going in Joplin and the dollar boxes, I've been finding some of the Marvel Comics, Hanna-Barbera comics from the 70s. And ScoobyDoo numbers 3 and 8 are what I found just recently. Gives me hope for maybe acquiring the whole run. But strangely enough, most of these stories didn't have artist or writer credits. The one story, in both of them, only one story, in both comics combined, only one story had writer and artist credits. And the writer was Mark Evanier and the artist Dan Spiegel. I tend to think Spiegel did the art throughout, but I'm not sure about that. But those are fun reads. Scooby-Doo is a fun read. Has always been a fun read, no matter what company was doing the comics. So you're always ensured a good time with Scooby-Doo. Now here's a problem. As I just said, finding those Scooby-Doo comics makes me think, okay, maybe I can get the whole run of those. Finding this next comic and looking at the cover and the interior art of a comic I'd never seen or paid any attention to. Bronze Age Charlton book. Again, has me thinking, oh, maybe I can go back and get all of these. This is Vengeance Squad, and I've just forgotten. I could look it up on one of the websites online or something and find out who did it. I forget now who did the art and the writing. Joe Gill probably did some writing on it. Well, right here is actually writer Joe Gill, but the artist I'm not sure, because the artist actually isn't credited here. Editor George Wildman, writer Joe Gill, but the artist isn't credited. But here's the thing: whoever this artist is, and I've looked him up before, but I can't remember. He was doing, seemed like to me, his best Alex Toth. I just see some Toth in that cover right there. And I open up the first page, and again, very Toth-like, man. I just was like, wow, this guy, he had Toth on the brain, I think, or just by coincidence, maybe just his stuff looked a lot like Alex Toth's work, and throughout it kind of looked like that. But that was enough to make me, say, okay, this would be a cool book to just kind of go back and I actually believe there are fewer than 10 issues of Vengeance Squad, because I've been checking it out on eBay, and just looks like a fun read. Just kind of a, just kind of a neat guy read. I mean, guys punching dudes and shooting guns and, pretty girls and all that kind of stuff. So, neat stuff there. Now, this next one is, this is one of those books that if you find it in the dollar box, you always pick it up, and that's Classics Illustrated. This is Hamlet, Classics Illustrated Hamlet, and it is, I'm sure, just by looking at the 15-cent price, being in the high, being number 99 in the high 90s, is probably a reprint, but still, it's a Classics Illustrated in the probably a second print, but in the 15-cent range, Silver Age book, and Hamlet by William Shakespeare. That's just a no-brainer. You find that in the dollar box, you pick it up, and at least I do. This was kind of interesting. These were dollar finds at a local flea market, and these were, again, first appearances, and there they were, back to back, right, next to each other in the comic box. These were X-Men number 134, first appearance of Kid Omega. I always thought that was just a cool cover. Now, I'm out of touch with the X-Men. I haven't read X-Men ongoing since the very early 90s. So that's a long time, over 20 years. And so I don't know who Kid Omega is. All I know is I kind of watch the sites that talk about the first appearances, and this is one of those books that people are asking $10, $12, $14 for. Now, I'll make the point again, as I often do, asking and getting are two different things sometimes. But again, for $1 a piece, yeah, I'll go ahead and put a couple of bucks down on those, just to put those back and see what they do. That's to me, that's not so much gambling as that's just fun, because I read everything I get, practically everything I get, and so it's kind of cool to get the first appearances for that kind of small money. Now, this next one, this is interesting, because I haven't seen this, talking about the Joker, the Joker movie coming out, which I really don't have any interest in seeing. I think it's interesting the way they did it, but I've known since they first talked about, Joaquin Phoenix and everything doing the Joker. I knew he'd do a good job. I knew that his acting would be engrossing, but I didn't figure that I'd see it. I figured it would be too far away from the comic book Joker that I like. So, but talking about the Joker, and the Joker is very popular right now, and of course on DC's side, Year of the Villain is going full speed ahead right now, and very strong. And the Joker comic, the Joker tie-in comic, one shot with Year of the Villain, people have been talking about the different variant covers and which is the best Joker cover. And a lot of Joker variant covers from the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years are heating up back online and on eBay and such as that. But I don't hear anybody talking about this cover. This is the reprint of Joker #1 from the 70s, and it was a $1 reprint, and it's a Jose Luis. I just screwed it up. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez cover.
Wrong Wrong.
And the way I always know that, and see, I couldn't even find his name on the, I didn't see his name on the cover. But the way you know it is I remember, if you remember the, my introduction to Garcia Lopez's Joker was from the 1984, I believe, Hulk Batman crossover, the big Treasury size comic. And that his Joker was very distinctive with the long, I mean, I know Jim Aparo drew the Joker with the long chin and all that kind of stuff, but Garcia Lopez's Joker was just distinctive. I don't know, there was something about it. And when I saw that, I was like, I knew that was Garcia Lopez.
Wrong.
Sure I am. I still haven't even checked it out. So you know, if that's a really good knockoff, I'm going to be embarrassed. But that is my favorite Joker cover that's been published in the last 10 years. So I mean, all those other variants on Joker #1, Year of the Villain tie-in, great. Whatever one you like, that's great. But that's my favorite Joker cover to come out in a long time. So anyway, if you haven't picked that up and you still see it sitting on the rack somewhere, that's a great read. It's the reprint of the first issue of the 70s Joker series. And Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. I hope I'm right about that.
You're wrong.
Anyway, great cover and just a great, neat book. Neat story that still stands up these days. The Joker series still stands up, I think. And one last, I think I am going to wait on the gimmicks and obscurities. I'll do those again soon. But one last dollar find that I pulled out of a box. Now I liked Wizard magazine. It's interesting. I was just recently reading a post on one of the, I think it was back issue, the Facebook back issue page, back issue magazine, I should say. And it was talking about, somebody posted about Wizard, and there's varying opinions on Wizard and on back in the 90s, and whether it was good, whether it was bad. I don't think it was good or bad. I think it was just reflecting a lot of what was going on in the industry. Did it drive a lot of the speculation? Perhaps. You know, who knows? But everybody's going to have their opinions. But I liked Wizard, and I liked the specials that they would put out there, and like this one, the Spider-Man giant movie preview. This was the preview magazine before the first Spider-Man movie, before the first Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie came out. And it was just a great, you know, I loved these kind of slick magazines, especially dealing with the comic book culture and this movie. I mean, how excited were fans about this movie back in the day? Very excited. In fact, when I think of this movie, I still think of the first trailer that they showed, that they ended up they didn't show it. They stopped showing it because it showed Spider-Man trapped. It showed a helicopter trapped in a giant spider web between the two World Trade Center buildings. And when the World Trade Center towers went down, they got rid of that trailer, and they got rid of that scene, and you know, the rest is history. But you can still find that trailer on YouTube. But anyway, that was cool. A cool find for $1 because I like stuff like that. I'll still look at those things and go back and just enjoy the nostalgia. Oh, there is one other thing. Speaking of Spider-Man, speaking of recent pickups, no, not a dollar fine. In fact, this one, if you get this one will cost you $10 a pop, minus your discount at your local comic shop or wherever you get your comics. But this is Alter Ego number 160, the Steve Ditko issue. This is the Steve Ditko Remembered, and just a lot of great interviews, historical information, art, and man, these, I tell you, I can remember when they started out, Alter Ego was like $6.95 or $7.95, something like that. But I think about $6.95. But even at $10 a pop, these are worth it. These magazines are worth it. Facebook friends with Jim Amash, who is on staff at Alter Ego, and just a great guy. Love his well, anyway, love his puns that he posts on Facebook all the time. We do pun strings that go or pun threads that go for a long time. Anyway, Alter Ego number 160, Steve Ditko Remembered. Great stuff. Just a great slick magazine with all kinds of neat information on Ditko's comics work, interviews, illustrations, reprints, just really cool stuff. So just neat neat stuff. And if you're a comic book fan, you are in one way or another. I'll just say it like this. If you're a comic book fan and you're not a Steve Ditko fan, I question whether you're truly a comic book fan. And on that, I'll just say again, thanks for watching. Again, comment, subscribe, like the video, and what's your favorite Steve Ditko story? What's your favorite Joker cover? Anything you'd like to answer down below. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video.